In the account structure class, we talked about account types being the highest level in the account hierarchy in CenterPoint. And beneath that, on the second level, is account categories, which organize all of the accounts within each account type. And today we're going to talk about the setup of accounts. So from your top menu, select Setup, Accounts, and then Accounts. And first we're going to see all of the different account types, and you can expand any one of the account types and see the categories that are beneath it. And under each account category are the accounts that you have in that particular category. There are several right-click menu options that you can use for displaying your account list. You can expand all groups. That'll expand everything all the way down with the account types and the categories. We're going to collapse all groups again. You can highlight one particular account type, right-click, and expand all groups under expenses and see all of those. If we right-click, we can also do add remove columns and add other columns if we wanted to add a different piece of information. Any column that you have displayed, you can order the list by. So I could order it by abbreviation, I could order it by account number or name. Another way is to sort alphabetically. We'll toggle between sort alphabetically and sort by sequence. What sort by sequence is what will put it in the order that you would expect to see it on financial statements, such as your balance sheets and your income type statements. And sort alphabetically will just alphabetize the different account types and alphabetize the account categories. Another right click is to display all account types and categories. Currently, we're hiding any account categories that are not being used, but if we click on to display them all, then you'll see some categories that aren't being used, just so you can see what else is available. Now we're going to make a new account. So down at the bottom are some buttons, and we're going to click New, and we can make a new account. And we're adding a revenue for doing some building rental. We have a community building and we're going to rent that out. So we're going to call this rental. And you're going to give it an account number. Account numbers are optional. And the numbering format that you use is stored under a preference, under File, Preferences, Account Settings. If you have several databases and you want them all to use the same format, you can do it under Application or you can do it at Database. So the account number mask is giving you the different characters that you can use in formatting your account number. So in this case, we have 6 pound signs, which means that we want 6 digits in our 6 numbers in our account number, and it's required. If we didn't always want 6, maybe sometimes we wanted 5, then you could do 5 or 6 nines. And would allow you up to 6, but you could have 5 because it's a digit placeholder but not required. And you can also use these other characters if you're using alphanumeric or just a placeholder. If the case were that you wanted a hyphen in the middle, like 4 digits and then a hyphen and 2 more digits, then you can put a hyphen in there and it would format it like that also. We're going to go ahead and leave it at 6 pound signs and click Save. And enter our account number and give it a name, which this is going to be Building Rental Revenue. And it's in the account type of revenue. We could have also used our lookup and selected our revenue account type. And then our account category, which we're going to pick service revenue. And we're not going to put anything in sub-account of because we want this to be a level 1 account. In a little bit, I'll show you some accounts we have under utilities where we're using level 2s and level 3s. But if they're a level 1, this will remain empty. If this particular account uses quantity, then we can put in a unit of measure. So perhaps we're going to rent this out by the hour, and we could put in hours here if we have that in our lookup. And I think we do. Yes. And then we have our other pieces of information. So over on our right is an active status. We can inactivate an account here. And here are different funds. You can have accounts active for one or multiple funds, but it doesn't have to be active for all funds. It depends upon if you want that account to be on the list of accounts when you're using that particular fund. So you could deactivate all and it would inactivate all of them, or you can activate all or just undo the different check marks if only one is not supposed to have this particular account. And then click OK. And there's another way to activate, deactivate out of the list that I'll show you in a little bit. Your accounts also can have an additional note if you want a particular note for this account. And now we're going to go to the detail. On the detail, there will not be any other information for revenues or expenses, but if you were in an account like a loan, you would see details for accrued interest and loan payment information. Or if you were in an inventory type of account, you would see a cost of good that you want to assign as the default account when you sell that inventory. But in this case, we don't have any details. And then on the distributions tab, distributions is a feature in CenterPoint that allows you to distribute this activity to multiple pieces of information like departments when you don't know what that is when you're actually entering it. So if this were, for example, a utilities expense, and we wanted that distributed to our different departments based on a percentage, that's what a distribution can do, and we have a special video for doing account distributions. And then templates, we talked a little bit about in our account structure class of templates being a pattern that is instructing CenterPoint on what needs to happen in the posting of a transaction using this account. Which accounts get posted, whether they increase or decrease, what details need to be assigned when posting that, what calculations are done for figuring out the dollars and possibly quantities. All that's done within the template. The templates have, each one of the categories have a default template, but if this account needs a different template, then it can be overwritten at the template level on this account. So for example, if I had a special template out here and I didn't want just DT increase revenue, I could select a different template. We're going to go ahead and save this account. And that added our new account. Down on the bottom are some other buttons now with that account selected. We could click edit and edit this account. You can at any time change an abbreviation, the account number, the name. You could switch the category it goes to. All of it is cosmetic. The activity is really getting managed by an account ID in the background that you can't see and you can't change, so that if you change something on this screen in the detail, your transaction activity to that account is still intact. The delete button allows you to delete an account if it's not been used. So we could delete this account because we haven't used it, and it'll ask if you want to delete it. And if it does have activity, it would come up with a warning and wouldn't let you do it, but in this case, it did let us delete the account. You can also create a new account with copy. So we could start with this revenue account, click copy, and make that same account that we just did before. And again, the unit of measure, and that's all we needed on this account, and we're ready to save. So just made that process just a little bit easier. We also have a combine. So if you have an account that was made by mistake, it has activity in it, and you really want to get rid of it, that's another way to clean up your list. So if I go down to my different accounts, under travel and meeting, I've got a travel and meetings, and I've got just a plain meetings. I don't really need the meetings, but there was activity to it. So I'm going to highlight the one I want to get rid of, click combine, and now pick the account that I want to merge it into, which would be travel and meetings. It'll come up and you have to verify this is what you want to do. And when I select yes, all the activity that went to my meetings is now merged into my travel and meetings. And if I go back to that account category, I now only have travel and meetings is no longer there. So I can clean up the list that way, or if I wanted to deactivate several accounts that I'm not using anymore, I can right click and choose Activate, Deactivate. Oh, first I need to highlight my accounts that I want to deactivate. Let's just pick a couple. I'm holding down my Control key and marking several that I want to deactivate. Now right click, go to Activate, Deactivate, and I can deactivate this from all of these different funds. When I'm highlighting more than one account, it's not going to show me the checkbox for which are active because it can't determine if there's more than one. But if I click Deactivate All, I'm inactivating this account from all funds. If I were wanting to activate it again, then Activate All would activate it to all funds. Or at this point, I could just pick a few funds that I wanted it to be active for. Let's deactivate it and click OK. And if I go back to repairs, here we go. That took those accounts out of there that I had for repairs, because across the top I have some tabs. Filter is one of them, where I can filter my list by different pieces of information. Like if I only wanted to see the account type of expenses, I could filter for expenses and move that to the right. In this case, I've got a filter for active, and I want to remove that because I want to get back to those accounts and make them active again. So I'm going to remove my active filter of clear, and now apply. And now when I go back to my repairs and maintenance, I'll see all my accounts. I'm going to just highlight all of my accounts in case I don't remember which ones were active. Although I could right click, go to Activate and Deactivate. That shows me on that account they're all inactive. If I highlight street repairs, go to Activate, Deactivate, this indicates that they're all active. So when I highlight one account, I'm seeing the active status of whether it's active or not. So in this case, I'm going to highlight all of them because I want them all active, and go to Activate, Deactivate, Activate All, and click OK. And now the next time I come into my accounts where my default filter is to show only active, I will still see all of my accounts in repairs. The other thing I was going to show you is under some of our account categories, the ones that have special properties. So if I look at one of my cash accounts, let's go to my general fund checking, go to detail, and I additionally have an ACH direct deposit tab. If you are doing direct deposit for payroll or doing ACH payments for some of your vendors, then you will need to fill out this information for your bank in order to do that direct deposit file. So that's what the account category is managing there for the cash account category. If we look at the inventory, and we don't have an account under there, but let's look at machinery and equipment. And we also see additional information for machinery and equipment of identifying depreciation information, or the original cost and depreciation amount per month, as well as a date and service. And also liability accounts will have that information for that loan of accrued interest. So let's go to a long-term debt. And now we have accrued interest information at the top, and we have loan information down at the bottom. And each one of these different funds can hold particular information for that loan if that has a balance for that particular fund. And now the other thing we wanted to look at was using different levels of accounts. So under expenses and under utilities expense, we have a case where we're using level 2s and level 3s of our accounts. So under utilities, we have a level 1 account called communication expense. And under that level 1, we have 2 accounts that are level 2, internet service and telephone. And under internet service of the level 2, we have additionally 2 level 3s of internet equipment and internet fee. this particular fund wants to track the expenses going to the equipment separate from fees, but they don't always want to see that. Most of the time they'll want to see it rolled up into internet service, or perhaps at level 1 at communication expense. But when they need to, they can see the reports all the way out to the internet equipment and internet fee. When you enter your transactions, it's always to the lowest postable account. So in this case, you would be entering transactions to internet fee, internet equipment, and telephone. Never to communication, never to internet service, because there are other levels under it. But that is there for reporting purposes. So we have that available whenever you need more detail in your reports, but you don't need to see that all the time. There's also another way to view your account list. If you want to see it not in the hierarchy of account types and account category and then accounts like this is, you can display it as a flat list. And that is under, again, your preference, where we were to set up the formatting. And there is an account list display as flat list. And if we set that at yes and save, and now close our list and go back into our list. Now we're seeing everything as a flat list, and then we could order our list by a couple of different things here so we can see what we're, the different accounts, what kind of accounts they are. So if we go to our sort columns and do it by account type and then account number, and that would help us in displaying our account list if you like it better in a flat list than using the hierarchy. And those are some different things to do in your account. You can also create an account from your entry screens. If we bring up a payment, you can position your mouse in the account, right click and do new account. And that would bring up the same detail screen as we did by clicking new. And then that would add your account at the same time that you're doing that transaction. And we will have another session on putting in beginning balances and using those accounts in your financial activity.